Hi guys, and welcome to Samsung Now. Samsung Now is where we review, look at, talk about the latest from Samsung and pretty much anything that's related to Samsung and their products. Today we're looking at, and I've got this written down because it's such a long title, as ever with a lot of these products. It's the Samsung Ultra HD Blu-ray player UBD-K8500. That's catchy. It's a 4K Blu-ray player. So what's a 4K Blu-ray player? 4K Blu-ray player plays 4K formatted Blu-rays that are designed for 4K displays, such as this one behind me. It's Samsung's first 4K Blu-ray player. And in fact, now currently it's the cheapest 4K Blu-ray player. So if you're in the market for a Blu-ray player, and chances are you've probably, if you've got a 4K TV, you're going to want a 4K Blu-ray player, so you can start replacing your entire library that you bought HD Blu-rays for with now 4K. So we start that cycle. First it was VHS, then we started to go to DVD, and then we started to go to Blu-ray, and then now 4K, and probably 8K, and probably retinal inside our heads, and VR. When will it ever stop? When will we ever stop buying these things? When will we ever stop having to re-buy the stuff we already own? So it is pretty cheap for a Blu-ray player, 4K Blu-ray player. It's you can get deals at around about £300, or you can also get deals that also include where it's included with the TV for free, which is what I got when I got this TV. There are also some great packages still available, banging around, where you can get like 3 included 4K Blu-rays, which are like The Revenant, The Martian, and Independence Day. So what are my first impressions with this? Well, one of the first things that kind of hits you out of the box is its weird design. It's got this sort of weird curve thing, and I think that's just to sort of like a nod to their TVs, their curved TVs that they have. It's it's a nod to that sort of design element. This setup is pretty easy. You've got basic ports at the back. It really is pretty bare bones at the back. You got one HDMI. There's an HDMI audio if you want to feed a separate sort of AV amp with HDMI, which is becoming more common. It's not necessary, you don't have to do it that way, but if you want to, the option's there. You got one USB on the front, one Ethernet, and one optical. Standard things in terms of the setup. You got your Wi-Fi. The apps that you can download are the same apps, but they're designed to be used with the Blu-ray player. They're not that great. The use of the remote control, which is here, is small and clunky. As you get small and clunky, it's an okay remote. But it's just small. It's fiddly. It's a very fiddly remote, and we know what I think about remotes. Oddly, this remote feels better and is better made than the crappy little Samsung TV rattle that I was complaining about. Yeah, so the apps are pretty limited, basic stuff, Amazon Prime and Amazon YouTube and Netflix and so on, but you're going to have those on your TV. The big thing that is somewhat an irritant really with the menu system on the Blu-ray, the 4K Blu-ray player, is that it's not using Tizen at all, which is what they use for Samsung use for their TVs. So it's just a very basic menu system. It's clunky, it's a little bit slow. There isn't a lot of room for apps on there. It's got, like, I think 2 gigabytes of memory, which get filled up very quickly if you're putting just a handful of apps on there. So, you know, I really wouldn't use the apps. You know, as I was saying, the remote is pretty simple to use. It is easy to set up. It's just basically plug and play. You set your Wi-Fi just to make sure that it's got the latest operating, you know, firmware and operating system on there. But I've had it for some time, and they've not updated it since it was released, I think. Even when I put it up, installed it, and I went to the system settings and tried to update it, there wasn't an update available, and that was out of the box several months ago. And I've tried just recently, and there's still no update for it. So I'm just wondering if it's just one of those products that Samsung's just throwing out and they're never really going to update. You know, it is what it is. That's what you're going to get. The key things really are that it's incredibly easy to use. You know, there's not a lot to it. The remote, you know, is okay, but it's a little bit fiddly, you know, because of the size of it, really. You know, you're forever sort of adjusting it in your hand to get to the buttons. You know, as I said about the menu system, it's pretty basic. All you want to do is really plonk a 4K Blu-ray disc in it and play it, really, and it does very well. This is where really it shines, and kind of what you want it for. The 4K Blu-ray that it plays, and I'm using Planet Earth 2, the BBC documentary series, nature documentary series, to show, which I always think it's a great means of showing what a 4K TV and 4K Blu-ray can do, because it's so well produced. It's really vibrant. It's got motion. It's got everything that you would want to show, and the colors, you know, are from nature. So there's nothing fake in it. So your eye can perceive whether it's, you know, what's good and bad and fake and real and so on. So it does an amazing job, and I always use that to show people what 4K really can do. So the picture is really good. It's stable. There's no judder with movement. The colors are bright and punchy, but natural. But that all depends on how you've got your TV set up. It's important to make sure your TV is calibrated. If you're interested in how to calibrate your TV, and certainly if you've got a KS series Samsung, or even one of the later ones, and you can adjust it, you can. I've got some calibration settings. I've redone them. I did one a couple of weeks ago, which I wasn't particularly happy with. I've tweaked it again, and I'm happier with these new settings that I've come out with. So if you want to know what settings I use for the videos that the video of the 4K that you're seeing in this review, then you can get the settings from another video that I've just uploaded today, so look out for that. So you know, the picture is pretty decent. It's bright, it's punchy. 4K, you know, obviously shines with this, but it upscales really well with Blu-ray too. You know, it does a really good job of 4K Blu-ray content, standard HD content. DVD, you know, it can do that. It tries to upscale and do its best, and then if you've got a 4K TV, that's going to try and do something with it also. So, but you know, DVD content is DVD content. It's not going to be great, but it's watchable. You know, if you've got DVDs, they're certainly watchable using this. The sound is average. It depends what you're feeding it through. If you're feeding it direct to your TV, you're not going to be wowed, really. You know, it's okay. It's no different to sort of an average Blu-ray player. If you're feeding it through an AV, which is what I've got, then it helps, because that's handing over a lot of processing to that. But you know, it's okay. I've heard better. But you know, it's an admirable job for a £300 4K Blu-ray player, when you consider the next ones up are like £500–600, and really the difference between those, you know, it's incremental really. You're not going to notice a massive difference between, say, the Samsung, which we're reviewing here, and say one of the Philips or the Sony ones, which are like £500 and £600. Picture is a bit better, but the sound is better, but you would only really notice it if you compared like for like. If you had one next to the other, you wouldn't look at this and think, that looks awful, I can't watch that. You don't, because it is a great picture. The sound is really good. But when you compare it to the higher end models, then when you see them together, you do notice a subtle difference. But whether that's worth £200–300 to you, I don't know. So if you're buying a new TV, say you're looking for a Samsung, there's still plenty of packages where you can get the Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray player for free or at a much reduced price. Look out for the ones that include the 3 free 4K Blu-ray discs, movies with it, which are The Revenant, Martian and Independence Day. So yeah, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 because it's great value. It's £300. The next ones up from other manufacturers are like £500–600, and you don't really notice a huge amount unless you're comparing like for like directly side by side. If you're in the market for a new TV, now is the time to get it, because there are some great options. Certainly I would consider, you know, if you were buying a TV now, Samsung have new TVs out now, and really the difference between this one, which is last year's top of the range ones, the KS series, there's not a lot in it really. You're paying a lot more money for an incremental, incremental upgrade on the TV. So you can probably get the last year's models TVs much cheaper now, and there's, you know, packages where you can get the 4K Blu-ray as well, you know, but I'm sure they're probably running out of stock. But I'm not too sure of the validity of buying one of Samsung's brand new TVs right now, because they're not a huge amount different from this one. So there we go, guys. It's an 8 out of 10. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave some comments what you think. If you're after the calibration settings for your 4K TV, certainly if it's a Samsung panel, I've updated those, tweaked them with the white balance on the 10-point and 2-point, so have a look at that. I've uploaded that video today, and yeah, so I'll be back next week with some more videos, some more reviews, some chit chat and so on. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe, be kind to one another, and I'll see you next week. Thanks again. Bye bye.